I'm here with Amy Connell on the Scotland national karate team, multiple medalist at major championships as a senior. She's going to talk to us today about the barriers that athletes at your elite level that are How do you try and overcome the barriers that you have, and what are the barriers that you have to being able to compete at an elite championships, like the European Karate Champion?
So I think for me as an athlete, the biggest barriers like leading up to a major competition is like having to still think about a lot of other stuff. Like you're still working, you're still trying to do a lot in the outside world, you know, like by yourself. You're focusing on a lot of different things, so you're not able to fully focus just on the sport, which would be the dream. You know, if you're a funded athlete, you'd be able just to have your blinkers on and focus fully on the sport, whereas we have a lot of external things to think about, like so your income, where it's coming from, how you're paying for the trips, your injury prevention, like all of this stuff costs money. We need to think about all of those little steps that, you know, let us get onto the mat. So for me, there's a lot of barriers there in the way.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. It's not easy for self-funded athletes, and you've obviously at times done it really well, because you've definitely hit peak performance within this sport and competed against fully funded athletes, and when you're out there fighting half the time we can't tell, but which is credit to you. But to give us a little bit more depth into how you do that, you obviously mentioned injury prevention and different things. Have you created a little team around you that you use and kind of get help from?
Yeah, I mean it does. Obviously it costs money though. It's always an expense for you. But if you want to be the best, you need to try and find that team, and like you said, and build a team around you. And as a self-funded athlete, you need to obviously look for it in different ways. And people are great. People are hopefully wanting to help athletes. But I think a lot of the time people we were speaking about earlier don't realise that you're fully self-funded. In this sport, especially when you're competing at Europeans, World Championships, Commonwealth Championships, they don't understand that you actually are paying for everything by yourself all the time.
And I think this is one of the problems that the UK has, is we have lots of talented athletes, but nowadays, I don't know if you agree, but looking at modern karate, it's not enough to be good at karate, you have to be an athlete. The women out there now are able to fight multiple rounds back to back. Intensity is through the roof, so if you're not able to have all of those things that they have, help with recovery, nutrition, just as much the little worries about having all the flights booked for themselves and hotels arranged. Like, it was only yesterday that you guys as a Scottish team were waiting for a bus that didn't arrive and had very little time to warm up and performed as well, really well considering. So I don't think people at home understand the struggles that go on daily, and I think people at home just believe because you have some great highlight reels of winning medals and great techniques that they think that you are fully funded, but they don't realise that athletes like yourself are having to do it out of your own pocket. And credit to you for doing that, but hopefully we can shed a little bit of light on the fact that people like yourself need help with that. So if there are people out there that are willing to help non-funded athletes across the UK in all sports, that would definitely go a long way to helping us achieve more medals at a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as a sports therapist, obviously I work with injuries a lot, and I know over the years, like most self-funded athletes, there have been injury struggles for yourself, and you have done really well to overcome them and come back and medal. What did you find was the hardest part during that, as a self-funded athlete, but just generally about the resilience that you had to show to be able to believe that you could get back to the levels that you did achieve after your injury? Because people do struggle with being able to see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel when they have a serious injury that stops them doing the sport that they love.
Yeah, so true. For me, like I have along my career, I've had quite a few different bad injuries. I think for me, to be honest, the hardest thing is that confidence in knowing you're doing the right thing. Obviously yourself as a professional in that area. For me as an athlete, I'm not an expertise in how to get back from a hamstring injury or a concussion injury. So for me, it's knowing that I have the right treatment and people tell me the right things to get back to that elite level, because we're not just trying to overcome an injury, we're trying to get back as fast as we can to perform at the best as we can with the same explosivity and all of that stuff. So for me, I think that having that confidence of someone behind you makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
And that brilliance, I think, comes just from like that pure determination to be back on the mat. So we're looking for the easiest way back to that, and sometimes it's maybe not the healthiest route because we don't have the professionals behind us telling them the right way to do it, but we just want to be back out there performing to our best.
Yeah, I think you have to have that willpower to want to get back. If you don't want to get back, it's a struggle that's not worth fighting, is it? No. But I think something I touched on there is trust, and it's finding someone that you trust to look after your body, essentially, because Or arms and legs are what essentially are your tools.
Yeah.
So you need to feel that you have confidence in them, but the only way to do that is by finding someone you trust to help you. And that's hard as an athlete because it obviously comes with a cost, but trying to find someone that can hopefully help you in some ways and manage that cost as well is what you need. So that's good that you have that. The other thing, I'm very lucky that I've been on squads with you in the years gone by, so I've seen your progression from younger to where you are now, and the hard work that goes in. I think a lot of people often think people's success is overnight. I remember that bronze medal that you had at the World University Championships, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would have said, oh, where's this Amy Connell come from? Leading up to that first medal, I think you probably feel like you've been grafted and training for at least 10 years before you got that success. Is there anything you'd like to touch on about that? Because I don't think people understand how much goes into winning a major medal.
I think like everything nowadays, like we only see the highlight reels on Instagram. We only see the kind of like the pretty parts of what people want you to see. But yeah, like even just like day by day, like the work that we put in behind the scenes is crazy. Like when you look back at the years you put in, but it's for a purpose. Like it is for you've got a vision in your head that you want to achieve, and like that's why we just keep pushing. Like even when there's like step by step, it's like you look back and you see so many failures there, but like when you get to that point, and like for me, I've been lucky to have quite a few highlights. I would say like are big moments in my career so far, and for me, like it's worth the pain, like it's worth the crying at training, it's worth all the blood, sweat, and tears, because you get to that point, you're like, yeah, it's worth it. You had that one amazing performance in the day. Some people might think you're crazy to get all of that time for one amazing performance, but as an athlete, that's what you do, isn't it? Like you've got a vision, you want to be the best you can be.
Yeah, definitely, and it's definitely inspiring to hear that, and I think hopefully that will inspire lots of people, younger generations, but also people who are competing self-funded now, because I think it's difficult sometimes. So it's great to hear such raw honesty from an athlete that's actually there doing it, and is legitimately successful away from karate as well. So we hope to see you winning more medals, and I'm pretty sure that it can happen if everything aligns.
Thanks so much.